Well, the Houston Astros are going out of town on a losing note. Their pitchers are on fire, but their bats are ice cold. If they go to Arlington, they could put the Rangers to bed and not worry about them and focus on the division. Let's talk about it on this edition of Locked On Astros.
Jainel Diaz. Jainel Diaz, this is Locked On Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros. We hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on X at Eric Talkstros. You find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Go and check out the Locked On Astros podcast and go ahead and subscribe to us on YouTube. Just hit that little red button down there and make us your first listen wherever you listen to your podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to PrizePicks/LockedOnMLB and use the code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. So, Brett, we saw Kikuchi this weekend. First return, it looks pretty good. And unfortunately, the Astros offense this weekend didn't show up. I know you're frustrated. Go and tell them where they can find you at.
Yeah, they can find me at h-vac on X, Instagram, and TikTok. They can find me at Stros411 on X and on Facebook. They can find me at Back to the Bullpen on X, iHeartRadio, and on Instagram as well on YouTube. Look, I'm always positive, always Stros. And we are in the dog days of summer. This is a long part of the season. I think we'll be getting JV back hopefully in a week or two, which would be nice. But your starting pitchers are really hot. Your bullpen's doing their job, but your offense is completely MIA. And I see some mention of Dana failing the team at the deadline not to get bats. But I think who's failing more than Dana Brown did at the deadline, I think, are Yordan Alvarez, Jose Altuve, and Alex Bregman, the guys that are supposed to be leading this team offensively. Yanner Diaz can't do it all on his own. John Singleton's solo home run's not going to get it done. So this offense, for all intents and purposes, and we'll get into it second segment, is really the reason why they've scored only, I think, two times. They've only scored 5 runs or more since coming out of the All-Star break.
Yeah, and definitely, I know a lot of people were disappointed with the way that the trade deadline went by. I know there's a lot of talk about the Astros getting a bat. Yandy Diaz was somebody that a lot of rumors were saying the Astros were going after. Then afterwards, they're like, there's been reports that the Astros weren't really that into him, but it doesn't matter at this point. I know that the Astros tried to get some bats, but at this point, they didn't really have the free agents out there. So Dana Brown did address this but in the pregame show with Robert Ford. I believe he said that there are some young guys at first base, maybe at the minor league level, that they can possibly bring up. Zach DeZenzo and also Shea Whitcomb could be possible options. I know that I believe Whitcomb played first base for one and first or second times this year. So these are guys that the Astros could possibly bring up instead of Ledmus Diaz, who's not really playing a lot anyway. You've got to get this guy some help. Singleton he crushed a home run on Saturday night, but overall it's been hit or miss with Singleton. He's had some productive at-bats, but you need to try something else. And if it's not working, it's time to fix it. And I'm not saying Singleton's broken. He is probably the answer, but maybe if you can find a platoon option or somebody to play maybe 2 games a week instead of Singleton, I think that's what the Astros need to do.
Yeah, exactly. I think Singleton, like you said, does need to be platooned because what he offers you defensively when he's in the game is superb. I mean, he has shown I think he's shown flashes of someone who's worthy of a Gold Glove nomination. If I'm being really honest, I think he's flashed an elite defensive glove, made some amazing catches, pulled out some baseballs from the dirt that he had no business catching, especially from Bregman, from the pitchers, from from Jeremy Pena the other day when that ball was hit to Pena. Pena had to turn and jump, throw it, and he bounced it. And I believe it was Caleb Ort that was on the mound. It was a great defensive thing that you saw, but Singleton being in there every day, Eric, I think exposes the weakness that he has. Although he does get on base and walks, he can hit the long ball. He still swings and misses way too much. The problem is he's swinging and missing at balls that are in the strike zone. He's not pulling a Jeremy Pena, because right now Jeremy Pena, he just looks bad at the plate. He is pressing. He is getting outside of where he was successful in the beginning of the season. Remember, he had gotten away from chasing. He had gotten away from, like, he had started barreling up changeups. Now sliders, changeups out of the zone, down and away. That's what you throw Jeremy Pena every time. Why? Because he's going to swing. He went down on a in bat where he swung at 3 straight balls that were nowhere near the strike zone. And he is video game wheelhouse right now at the plate. That's not a good place to be. He's got a lot better hit tool than that. But yeah, Singleton, man, I think get one of these young guys up. I would love to see DeCenzo, to be quite honest with you. The kid just can absolutely crush the ball. 23 home runs, I believe, now. And, some of it's a little skewed because some of it's in Albuquerque, some of it's in high altitude. And they say that the gap between AAA and MLB has basically widened, has gotten bigger and bigger, meaning there's not much comparison between the two because of the way they play and where they play in the PCL. So, you know what? Why not get one of these guys up here, see if they can get hot? Pedro Leon, I'm glad he's up. But he's still got a lot of swing and miss stuff. He's still got a lot of stuff, a lot of holes in his swing. He's got potential, but
right.
He's his arm. His arm is unreal.
Mm-hmm.
In Arlington, I want someone to hit a ball to right field. I want Corey Seager to try to score from second to home and just get absolutely gunned down in Arlington. That would be fun to watch.
DeCenzo, is that who you mentioned earlier? He's got only he's got 6 home runs this year with 24 RBIs. He's batting .310 with 920 OPS.
Oh, is it Shea Wickham that has 23 home runs?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I had Wickham and DeCenzo switched up. Thank you for correcting me.
He has been through 3 different stops this year. He's been with the Florida Coast League. He's been with Corpus Christi and now with Sugarland. So, but I think that there are some options the Astros can go with. You don't have to stick with the Ledmus Diaz. If he doesn't give you any production, you can do that. But if you look what the Astros offense has been doing, show me with your fingers how many extra base hits the Astros got today.
Today, 0.
Yeah. They got 3 singles, just 3 lousy singles. And it just sucks the fact that we'll talk about the pitching next segment, but with everything that they've been doing, they just haven't been doing anything. During the last 7 games, they've gone 7 for 48. That's a 146 average with men in scoring position. They stranded 42 runners.
All right. So, you know what though, Eric, I know we're focusing on the hitting, but the pitching at least has been there. You get a 1-0 game. You get Eric Getty, who absolutely kills it. Kikuchi.
Right. We're going to talk about that next segment. So in the last 16 games, the Astros are 7-9. They're averaging just 3.2 runs. So only the White Sox have a worse rate. The Astros were 1 for 5 with runners scoring position today, and it's just something that the Astros chose not to address at the trade deadline. And so it sucks the fact that they've done this. You have Chaz McCormick, Mauricio Dubon, and Pedro Leon all go 0 for 16 with 8 strikeouts with runners in scoring position.
Wow.
Or I guess just in general, in the Saturday's loss. And then it basically the same part of the lineup went 2 for 15 today. So it just kind of stinks the fact that they're struggling right now. And so you got to find some help. You got to find some consistency, and they weren't getting it prior to the trade deadline. And they should have made that trade for some offensive help, because the Mariners did. I know they lost today, but the Mariners made that trade, and they got some help, and they look a lot better offensively. So we'll go ahead and address pitching next.
This episode is brought to you by Liquid IV. Use the promo code MLB and get 20% off your first order. Now, America's pastime, we know, is in the dog days of summer. And when you forget to hydrate, it could be bad. So Liquid IV has the ultimate hydration sources in it. That's right. They have flavors like Popsicle Firecracker. It's a surefire hit. They have electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients from the #1 powdered hydration brand in America. Because baseball and America go together like Liquid IV and indulgent hydration. Iconic flavors like the Popsicle Firecracker, like lemon lime, like pina colada, powered by Live Hydroscience, and optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration. So when you go to hydrate, you need to get Liquid IV. Go to liquidiv.com. Use the code MLB at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration using the promo code MLB at liquidiv.com.
Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to us. Make us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Go and check out the Locked On Astros podcast. Check out Michael Connor on the Locked On Astros podcast as well, and you can check us both out on your Amazon Fire TV stick. All you have to do is search the free channels app, and you can find us on your big screen TV. You can watch Brett and I talk on your big screen if you want to see us. That's pretty awesome. But what was awesome, the good thing you could take away from this series is the pitching as a whole. And I know you're going to talk about a record the Astros have actually done for a second time in franchise history. But Spencer Arrighetti, this kid, I know the Astros are 0-5 in his last 5 starts or whatever, but overall, he's looking pretty good. He's striking out hitters. He's got swing and miss stuff, but overall, this guy looks like what the Astros need, but the Astros can't generate any type of offense when he's on the mound.
Yeah, it is kind of the curse that was Justin Verlander's there for a while, where Justin Verlander would go out and throw a gem and they could not score for him. But 10 straight double-digit strikeout games for the Astros pitchers, that's a great record to have. And you would think, looking at the box score, just looking at the pitching, that surely the Astros not only beat the Dodgers, but they beat the Pirates, and they took all 3 series. Well, that didn't happen. And today you had an opportunity. They score 1 run. The game before, they did score 6 runs, but some of those were some lucky fly ball outs. We call them home runs in the Crawford box area in Houston. We appreciate them for sure, but we hate it when it happens to us. But Eric, I mean, these starting pitchers, Kikuchi comes in, and we didn't get to talk about this, comes in, gives up 2 runs, a double and a home run, and then he settled in. And then after that, he went on an absolute tear, 8 strikeouts in a row, almost got he was 1 pitch away from a 9th strikeout in a row, which would have been an Astros record. It was the most by a pitcher in his debuting with a new team. And then you had Ronel Blanco come out and just do a phenomenal job on the mound. And then the back end of the bullpen, for the most part, other than giving up those few lucky runs here or there, really put the icing on the cake. And these last 6 games, you could have had the Astros win 4 of the 6, and instead they win 2 of the last 6. And it's just tough to watch because the pitchers are grinding. Arrighetti, dude, 12 strikeouts today, just looked phenomenal. His slider was working. He was missing bats, and I absolutely loved it.
All right. My name's Eric, not Shirley. Don't call me Shirley. But I know that's from, what was that?
Airplane.
Naked Gun. No, Airplane? No. Okay. I knew it was one of those guys' movies. But anyway, he had 20 swings and misses today. From Slane Sports, the most consecutive game with 10 plus strikeouts since 19-something. I can't see it, but you have the 2017 Indians. At the time, they're called the Indians, so I can say that. They had 13 straight games. The 2024 Astros, the 2022 Astros, the 2021 Padres, and the 2019 Dodgers are the only teams to have 10 straight games with 10 straight strikeouts in a row. So this is not something that you see very often. So the pitchers are going out there. Joe Spada today said Spencer was phenomenal. He couldn't have done a better job. I love this 12 punchies. He pounded the zones. He competed his arse off. That was a great performance. And it was just a great, it's the fact that he went out there, but the Astros haven't won a Arrighetti start since he did that 7 shutout inning start against Colorado on June 28th. He's basically pitched really good. His ERA is all the way down to 5.33. He's posted a 3.41 ERA in his last 5 starts, while the Astros have scored exactly, ready for this? 5 runs in those 5 starts for Spencer Arrighetti.
It's insane. Well, I mean, shoot, they've only scored 5 runs twice, like I mentioned in the intro, since coming out of the All-Star break. I mean, This is an offense, Eric. Going to the All-Star break, we were like, wow, like things are really coming together. If you would have taken this pitching with that and brought that offense with us, wow. I mean, and Jordan hasn't hit a home run since like July 3rd. It's been a month. I think something like that. I mean, that's not a good. I don't like hearing Astros. You know, last year was Jeremy Pena July 5th. This year it's July 3rd. I don't like that first week in July being the last time one of our home run hitters hit it. Now, you know, Jordan's still getting the ball in the field. He's still getting singles or double here or there. You know, Diaz is hitting. But man, we're just missing so much with these ice cold bats. It's got to be frustrating for the pitchers.
Right.
Of course, someone like Spencer's not going to say anything. He knows his place. He's a rookie. You know, Justin Verlander's sitting there chomping at the bit going, gosh, I wish I was in there. But you notice when he talked, we'll talk about this more in injury. He talked about, he was almost mentioning like he had more than a neck injury. And you just wonder, like, are the Astros always, I just don't think they're very honest with us. I think they lie to us sometimes, and that kind of hurts my feelings, Eric.
It's called a half truth, Brett. Look it up. They don't tell you everything.
My feelings, man. I want to know. I want it straight. I want to know what's going on. I don't like. It's not going to make me feel better.
Go to astros.com and go ahead and fill in a resume application and send in your resume and go ahead and work for the Houston Astros. That's the only way you'll get the full truth. Even then, you won't get the full truth.
You know, it's funny. I thought you were going to say fill out one of those surveys. You know how when you go to a game, you get a ticket survey? Like, you know. Yeah,
those people don't get the full truth either.
Well, I'm just saying, I've filled out a lot of those surveys, and I've never gotten a response on them, even when I've had complaints. So whatever.
I do want to do a shout out to Ronel Blanco. He had a much better start this time around. 5 innings, 6 hits allowed, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. He did allow 1 home run on Saturday. So it's getting more back to who Ronel Blanco is. So he's been kind of herky-jerky a little bit more recently, but I think this was a better start. Caleb Ferguson did make his debut on Saturday, 2 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, and 2 strikeouts. So maybe that's why the Yankees fans were like, we got a human being for Ferguson, but we'll give him a little bit more leeway than just 1 appearance. But even Taylor Scott in that game gave up 2 runs in an inning. So it just wasn't the Astros day on Saturday, but you're like, maybe the Astros can rebound a little bit on Sunday, break out offensively against a opener, and you had bases loaded in the first inning with 2 walks and a hit by Yainer Diaz. And you're like, come on, this is your chance. And then you have people striking out. Then they change pitchers on us. And it's just so frustrating how you can get. That's the only time I think you only had like a runners in scoring position once or twice in the game. And it sucks.
That was your golden opportunity. Someone's asking about the Rangers and an automatic winner sweep for them. You know, we're going to talk about them here in the 3rd segment, because I'm going to tell you how the Astros can make this a 2-team race for the AL West. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play fantasy sports. Unlike any other apps you have out there, it's not just you against a million people, it's you against the numbers. And you can pick more or less than 2 to 6 player projections and watch the winnings roll in. Get in the daily action with your friends and become a part of the PrizePicks community. Today, you can win up to 100 times your money. That's right. With as little as 4 correct picks, you can turn $10 into $1,000. The excitement is there. I myself play. Eric plays. It's a great app to use. So download PrizePicks app today and use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match of up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to us. Make us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Go and check out the Locked On Astros podcast. And I was at a training on Friday, Brett. I actually made it to work for one day, and somebody was like, "Hey, my boss, she's fangirling over you, Eric. You need to come meet her." So I met her, and so I want to send out a shout out to Susan and her husband. They're both big supporters and watchers of the Locked On Astros podcast.
Awesome.
So thank you for wanting to meet me. She got a picture of me, and she said we always like watching your show. But guys, thank you for making us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Go and check out the Locked On Astros podcast. And I know we keep on hearing in the chat over here, well, at least the Rangers lost and the Mariners lost. Okay, but when they lose, you're supposed to win. You're supposed to build this gap. You're supposed to distance yourself between you and the other team. That's how you win the division.
Yeah, it is. It is how you win the division. But, Chris says, right, actually, that's not the one I was looking for. He says, do not think the Rangers are an automatic winner sweep. I don't think they are either, Michael, but I can say this. Let me throw up a couple quotes. I was looking at some different articles today, and Charlie Palillo's I'm a huge fan of his, and he was talking about the AL race, the AL West race, and this is what he had to say. He said, if the Rangers lose ground to the Astros this weekend, the Astros could then put the reigning World Series champions to sleep by taking their series in Arlington this week. Okay. Conversely, if the Rangers do win and they do gain ground 2 out of 3, it's a 3-team derby, and it is on. The way the Astros, Eric, can totally put the Rangers, I believe, hopes to bed is if they win the series, they win the tiebreaker, they have that over them, because then you are 3 places out of the wild card. Because again, like you mentioned, the Mariners lost today, so we're only 1 game behind. But right now, the Rangers are 9.5 games out of the 3rd wild card spot. If we can beat them 2 out of 3, they will be closer to the Blue Jays than they are to the Royals. And I don't see the Rangers climbing out of that hole. And I don't think the Rangers are going to do what everybody thought they were going to do, surge in the second half. So the destiny lies in the hands of the Astros and what they do. Again, if they lose 2 out of 3, Arlington's still in it, but they're still 9.5. There's still a ton of games back. But even us being 1 game back, Eric, we are 5 games back of the 3rd wild card spot. So there is not a second team coming out of the AL West. Oh, and there are not any teams winning 100 games this year.
Right. Looking at the probable pitchers for Monday, you got Hunter Brown, who's 9-7. Then you have with a 4.11 ERA. Then you have Andrew Heaney with a 4-11 record with a 4.12 ERA. That shows you a difference between these 2 teams, and that shows you why I don't think the Rangers are gonna win. I mean, how can you have a 4-11 pitcher with a team that's supposed to be going to the playoffs? I'm not saying it, you can't have it, but I just think that the offense has potential to be good, but they've dealt with a lot of injuries to their
the Astros
offense.
play well. The Astros play well in Arlington, Eric. I mean, we've seen it firsthand. We saw it last year when, like, you would have thought that we ended the Rangers' baseball life. I mean, they were groveling they were mourning over, almost like someone died. It was insane how bad we beat them. And I'm not saying like we wake up and win 17-6, but this team loves playing in Arlington. It's almost odd. It's almost like if we make the playoffs, can we play some of our home games at Arlington? Can the Rangers rent their ballpark to us? because we play really well in there.
Hey, Brett. I have some sad news. Unfortunately, Lance McCullers will not throw a pitch for the Houston Astros this year. According to Joe Espada, they're running out of games, and he's not going to likely pitch this year. So he has not thrown a pitch since 2022. He's not going to throw a pitch until 2025. So if you wonder why Jim Crane is very hesitant to throw money at pitchers, this is why. And Christian Javier probably makes it a little bit less likely that he'll be offering pitchers a big time deal in the future, because pitchers are so unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen. They could be throwing like Cy Young, the next minute they have Tommy John, and it's just, you never know what you're going to get from them. So Spada said where he's at right now, I think it's saying, I don't think he'll pitch this season. It would be almost too much to ask him to ramp it up to get back this season. Everything's moving in the right direction, but with the number of games that's left, this is where we're at.
Yeah, exactly. And this brings up a good point, because this kind of goes into the conversation. This is a great question by Mr. Orlando. He says, why don't MLB teams have to officially report the nature of injuries like teams of other sports? People bet on baseball too, knowing the true nature of Tucker's injury can affect futures in gambling. The true nature of Lance McCullers. Remember when we had the soft tissue issues with that kind of rhymed with Alex Bregman.
What really happened with Jeff Kent?
We're wow.
Back then, we didn't know.
Way back. Well, I mean, hey, we knew Moises Alou tore his ACL on the treadmill. If that happens today, there's no way we hear about that. There's no way we hear about that. They tell us, he woke up and he had knee discomfort. And then we hear like 2 months later, oh, we're getting an MRI done. Oh, he's got a torn ACL. I have no idea why they do it. Someone said maybe there's insurance money in play. There could be some wording there legally for them to pay. It more than likely it has to do with their contract structure and legal stuff. But it does seem like the Astros, Eric, do this more often than other teams, or maybe we're just more aware of our team because we follow them, and maybe other teams do it. We just don't pay that much attention.
I think that Dusty Baker last year just got tired of being asked, so he brought in HIPAA. It's a HIPAA violation if he. So, but Justin Verlander violated his own HIPAA requirements and said that he feels great right now. He expects to be able to return to Astros starting rotation after about 2 minor league starts. He threw about 37 pitches over 2 simulated innings. Yeah. He faced Aledmys Diaz and Trey Cabbage. They were both taking swings against him. His fastballs got up to 94 miles per hour. Joe Spada said his curveball looked great. All of his pitches looked great. And so everything looked great. And Diaz said that about Verlander's pitchers. He said the fastballs were getting on him. He's a great fastball hitter, so I want to throw him a bunch and kind of get a good read on that way. More importantly, the off speed, I got some great reaction of all the pitches. Really, that it's what I wanted to see. If it was a game, I would have really been comfortable with all the pitches today. So he feels good. He feels that after 2 rehab starts, he'll be ready to go, and that's good news for Houston Astros. But you've got to be able to hit the ball and score runs.
That's right. Yeah, man, Orlando, we appreciate answering your questions. We don't always get to answer all your questions because we have so much to discuss in a certain amount of time. So when we're able to, and most of y'all on here, I would say at least once or twice we've answered y'all's questions. And Jay Roberts mentions flag football. That brings back painful memories of Lance Berkman in the torn ACL at Second Baptist Houston Intramural Flag Football League. But I guarantee Astros don't participate in that stuff anymore. But Jeremy Pena's just got to be more patient. Jeremy Pena's got to know the books out on him right now. Hey, kid, they're going to throw you down and away. Maybe don't swing. Maybe be more patient. Alex Bregman's popping up again. I don't know if he's flying open. I was trying to watch his swing today. But here's the thing. And a lot of times, and I actually talked to this about Mike Stanton. This was like just a conversation I had. He said so many times coaches get like the blame because we were talking about Joe Espada. And he said, really it comes down to a lot of times whether the players are performing or not. And there's a lot of talk, is Alex Cintron on the hot seat and all that stuff, or Josh Miller if the pitchers aren't doing well. Look, the bottom line is, unfortunately, the coaches are the one that get the blame. So at the end of the season, if the Astros don't make it, if they fail to make the playoffs, well, if it ultimately comes down to hitting an offense, that's going to be on the hitting coaches. That's going to be on Alex Cintron, because that's what they're there for, to get them hitting and get them productive. So you may see some firings go on. And then when that happens, Mike said, as a player, you hate it because you feel like it's your fault that coach is gone and there's nothing you can do about it. So at the end of the day, I hope, for all intents and purposes, that we hit with the pitching. We go up to Arlington, take 2 out of 3. Let's win the series. Let's shut them up. Let them be one-hit wonders. I want them out of the playoff race, because look, if we're possibly eliminated, I surely want those jokers eliminated.
Well, it's at the end of the show, and I just want to bring up one little guy. I guess it's just a pointer from Dana Brown's interview today. Sorry, I couldn't think what I was trying to say, but he said Loperfido is exciting, a really great defender. We still have to figure what the bat was going to be, but he had some strikeouts. Wagner was really good at bat, but we didn't know where he's going to play. But the guy that we're going to miss the most, I think, is going to be Jake Bloss, because we didn't really know what we're going to get with him. He was probably going to be a great starting pitcher. So Jake Bloss is probably the biggest loss for the Houston Astros, and especially when he's traded, he was supposed to be starting that day, and then he gets yanked, and then you have Taylor Scott start that day. So guys, that's all we got for this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast. Hopefully we'll be talking about an Astros win over the what do you call them, the Oklahoma Rangers tomorrow. So
the Southern Oklahoma Rangers. They're actually sponsored by a casino in Southern Oklahoma. So
okay, all right. Well, we'll talk to you tomorrow on Ghost Astros.
I don't think you made the 32. Oh, 3203.